News for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
It's time to wake up and get driving in the fast lane here on Beaver County Radio. It's the morning show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. It's all brought to you by Patriot Home Care. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
It is 8:12 in Beaver County, and thank you for tuning in on this Friday morning, March 28th of 2025. I'm Frank Sparks, and joining us, as he always does every other week, is Steve Higgins from the Larry Bruno Foundation. Good morning, Steve.
Great to be here, Frank, on this March Madness. On this March Madness Friday, it's just, I'm pumped up.
We had one good game last night. The other ones, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the one was a blowout, the BYU game. BYU just got it handed to them last night. But we got a good subject pertaining to March Madness today. As our special guest is going to be New Brighton grad, and I played at Robert Morris and played elsewhere after that, and was coaching with me at one point in New Brighton. Mr. Gabe Jackson will be joining us this morning as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about the golf outing. I saw you announce the golf outing as well. Lots going on with the Larry Bruno Foundation.
Oh, yeah, a lot going on. We got our golf outing coming up. We have we just booked a speaking engagement for May 12th. Ed Prince, who wrote the book The Perfect Summer, is going to come in, and he's going to have a speaking engagement at the hall. And one of the cool things about that is some of the characters depicted in his book are expected to be in the crowd.
Well, somebody else brought up another New Brighton legend this morning. It was actually a Blackhawk grad that brought it up, Poe James. We were talking about him a little bit this morning.
I love New Brighton athletes. I really do. You know, growing up in Beaver Falls, they were kind of like a natural opponent for us. And even though in high school we were a higher classification than New Brighton, because, you know, Beaver Falls has always been at least 3,000 or 4,000 people higher in population than New Brighton. But New Brighton, their athletes are second to none. I mean, I just have so much respect for these guys. And it goes back to my playing days when we had the News Tribune was pumping, and we was reading all the articles of Little League and Pony League, and we were reading about all these great athletes from New Brighton and that we wanted to compete against. Right. And we did have a chance to play New Brighton in a little junior high basketball, and they would beat us, we would beat them, you know, and for being a smaller town, I have so much respect for them because, I mean, some of it's personal, okay? My cousin was a longtime football coach at New Brighton, Joey Greco. Right. So I naturally jumped on board with him. My son-in-law is from New Brighton. His name's Frank Kluka. Now, Frank was actually a teammate of our guest today. Maybe we'll talk about Frank a little bit later. But Frank graduated in 1990, went on to Duquesne, and he played his football at the University of Duquesne. So I'm very proud of Frank. But their athletes, Frank, are second to none in Beaver County. I mean, you could just rattle off, like you said, Poe James, arguably the best football player ever from Beaver County. And this is a county that has, you know, Ty Law, Tony Dorsett, Mike Ditka. But in high school, very few rival what Poe James did. And, you know, he had a pro career. He set the rushing record at New Mexico State. They've had basketball players like Pipkin, baseball players like Francona. And our guest today ranks right up there with the best of them. Now, I was reading his bio a little bit last night, and I got to tell you, I was blown away. I remember Gabe Jackson from when he played in the 90s at New Brighton. But when I read his bio, Frank, what he accomplished, oh, my God. He's up there with – he's like a Mount Rushmore guy of Beaver County.
Absolutely, and one of the few. And since we got him out of bed, let's bring him in since he's out on the left coast.
Let's wake him up and bring him in.
Let's wake him up. You with us, Gabe?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. You know, it's Pacific time out here, about 5:15, you know, so good morning to everybody, you know. So thanks for bringing me on the show today. Appreciate that.
So Gabe is one of the ones, he's in a very rare club as well in Beaver County. He's in the 2,000-point club, which is a very rare club. And Gabe, tell us a little bit about your memories of high school. Is you guys went on one of the greatest runs in New Brighton high school basketball history. Not only there, but you also excelled on the football field as well as a New Brighton player. So tell us a little bit about your memories of New Brighton High School.
Well, the memories were great. It was very competitive back then, between like Black Hawk, you spoke of Beaver Falls, also Aliquippa. So, every time I get interviewed, I always tell people, back in those days, it was, like I said, it was so competitive. You really had to step up. Going back to New Brighton, having older brothers, Chris Pipkin, that was an easy push. You have an older brother playing at that level. You definitely want to, keep up with him. And football, the great Maxie Williams, he was one heck of a coach. So, playing the dual sport, kept me out of a lot of trouble, kept me focused. Excuse me, and I really enjoyed it. The competition, like I said, once again, was very great back then. And I could just remember looking in the stands, and, there was never an empty seat on, both seasons, from football transitioning into basketball. The crowd was, like I said, very exciting. The town, everybody was into it. And, when you get that community support, it's also easier, to go out there and play a little harder because, you're going to have everyone backing you.
Now, as a senior in high school, Gabe also averaged 30 points a game, which is, at the high school level, that's pretty much unheard of anymore. And what year were you inducted? 2012, right into the the Hall of Fame for Beaver County?
Right, Beaver County Hall of Fame in 2012, and then the Pittsburgh Basketball Hall of Fame, I believe, 5 years after in 2017, correct.
So, what's one of your best memories on the court in New Brighton? And there's a ton of great ones. I remember, like you said, it was always rocking. The zoo was at it, and it was a good time to be in New Brighton and part of New Brighton basketball back then.
Probably, rest in peace, a great friend of mine, Bob Berrickman. He did the call on the Stowe Rocks game. Mm-hmm. So, probably that shot at Stowe Rocks with no time on the clock to win the section championship. That was something that you'll, never forget. And Bob, put his own spin on it. And I watch that periodically just to reminisce. How that was one of those moments that you'll always remember as a player. And I think that's probably one of my most proudest moments. Like I said, we won a section that year and went deep into the playoffs. So that's probably one of the things that I can remember and reflect back on.
Hey, Gabe, I'm pleased to tell you, Gabe, we have our museum in Beaver Falls now, the Larry Bruno Hall of Fame. It's called the Hall of Achievement. But we have a display in there that we have an old radio and we have some old BVP calls. And we happen to have that call on our radio. So if you come into the museum and visitors that come in, they could press a button and they could hear Gabe Jackson's game-winning shot.
Oh, that's pretty good. I don't know how they'll receive me over in Beaver Falls. We had those wars back in the day. So,
man. Hey, Gabe, who were some of the guys when you were coming up in high school and when you were young in New Brighton, who were some of the heroes or the local players that you kind of looked up to at that point that kind of inspired you to become the player that you became?
Well, obviously, the kid you hear a lot about, Poe James, he's an ultimate legend in New Brighton. Terry Francona, a little older than me. But coming up, I'd tell you the one that he used to come down to the Hunky Alley Playground was Hal Bentley. This guy, man. I went to that play. Yeah, I think he still holds a record for the 40-point game in the championship. And,
I was there. I witnessed that.
Yeah, he was just so smooth with the ball. And, as a kid, you're like, man, I want to do that, man. This guy is like, he don't miss. And he just handled the ball and took, total control of the game. Had a lot of composure out there on the court. So probably I would say Hal. Another one was Dwight Collins. You hear his name because he's right across the bridge there, playing at Pitt and seeing him on TV and then, going over to visit my father. And, I'd see him downtown and say, hey, Dwight, he's a nice guy. So there was just so many heroes. The list could go on and on. Beaver County has such a rich tradition, baseball, football, basketball. like you were saying earlier, we were a smaller town, but, we were gritty, we worked hard. And, we all kind of just stayed together. And the main thing I would say is that, the pickup games and just the sandlot, that's why I think when we got into the, actual games, we knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. And it was just like, you could play blindfolded if you had to because you knew where everybody was at.
Right. I could remember standing in line. I can't remember a high school game. I'm not sure which game it was. It was at your home court. It might have been an Aliquippa game. But it's a little sad now when you look at the crowds at New Brighton today, and then you just think back to that night. And I couldn't get in, Gabe, to the game because they had sold out the maximum tickets. Ray, I forget the AD.
Ray Hopper.
Ray Hopper was losing his mind, okay, because people were trying to rush the gate to get into this game to watch you guys play. And, boy, the excitement for New Brighton sports in those days was unparalleled. I mean, some of the games that you guys, I'm talking basketball now, were as exciting as anything at Beaver Falls that I had witnessed in quite some time.
Yeah, that definitely was the Aliquippa game, and I remember I was getting some tape, and I had to go out to, the hallway, and I seen, grown men fighting over tickets, and I came back into the locker room and said, guys, this is going to be one heck of a game because there's two guys fighting over tickets for a high school basketball game,
Right.
You'd have thought it was the Knicks versus the Bulls,
And they used to spew into the parking lot, remember? We used to have problems with, during that time, there was times that those games would spew into the parking lot because of rivalries between, New Brighton, Beaver Falls, New Brighton, Aliquippa at that point.
Exactly, So, like I said, the whole community, I think I've seen people, parking, all the way down by Foodland and walking, walking up the hills there because, the gym wasn't really that big. The parking lot had some decent room, but those games were so competitive. It just brought everybody out. I think people from other communities didn't even go to Aliquippa or New Brighton. Still came just to see a great high school basketball game.
So, Gabe, you were talking about those days and that Aliquippa game and stuff. Who were some of your teammates that you remember at this point in time that were in? That were part of? You guys put it all together and probably one of the best teams in the history of New Brighton basketball.
Yeah, I know. At one time we were in USA Today. We was averaging over 100 points in the first 17 games we played. But I can go right down the list. Sean Higgins, who's currently coaching at Rochester boys basketball. He's our point guard. Albie Hill. He was our two, him and Keith Wolfgang, and my brother, of course, Chris Pipkin. I was at the other forward. And Big Johnny Walker, that played at West Virginia Wesleyan, was our center, about 6'9". So, once again, we all played, in our summer leagues, basketball camps. So it was real easy to transition into, when we got up to New Brighton High School because we had played all summer long.
So moving on a little bit and talking a little bit about your college career at Robert Morris. Gabe has a rarity I bet you don't know about. He had a perfect game. Nobody ever has a perfect game.
What, baseball?
No. In basketball, he didn't miss a shot and didn't miss a foul shot the entire game. And that was against Duquesne. When was that one? I remember the game, but when was that?
That was. I think it was maybe my sophomore year. We played Duquesne, and we were at Duquesne. It's just one of those nights. I really didn't even realize because the game was so intense. That's like a rival. Duquesne, Robert Morris. So it's one of those games where you just say, you look at the stat sheet afterwards and go, oh, okay. And I didn't even know until our statistician came over and said, you had a perfect game tonight. I said, oh, okay. So, that's
a rarity.
One of the ones you won't forget.
Yeah.
You definitely won't forget that. Yeah.
Well, Gabe, I wanted to ask you, before we move on and talk more about your basketball career, because there's a lot to talk about at Robert Morris and then your professional career, I just want to touch base real quick on your football career in high school. I don't want to blow by that because from what I understand, again, my son-in-law is Frank Klutka, and we had a nice discussion about you just kind of briefing me for our interview today. And he tells me that every college football team in the nation wanted you, and that Michigan was a big recruiter of you, and they wanted you to play outside linebacker. What made you choose basketball over football?
It was quite a few. You know, I always go back to that. You know, I think I played a little bit of Pop Warner football and then took some breaks in between because of basketball. One year, I think I got hurt. I twisted my knee before junior high season. I think what it was is that, you know, as a receiver, we were able to throw, you know, my best friend, I'm sure you guys remember Vaughn Mosley.
Absolutely.
You know, IUP great, Kent State, Willie Murray, Geneva Hall of Fame. So, you know, we ran the ball a lot. And I just got interviewed from a guy in Pittsburgh, same thing. You know, I think at 18 years old, I want to be on more the offensive side of it, you know, and we really weren't throwing the ball that much. And the linebacker, yeah, Frank is correct. He was more so Michigan State, Ohio State, West Virginia. A lot of the Big Ten schools were heavily recruiting me for outside linebacker. And I just think at that time I just wasn't focused in and locked in on football at that time. And I just made the decision to go on and play basketball. I mean, I think playing to the next level, I think I would have had a chance. You know, the 6'4", 6'5" linebackers a little easier. A forward, you're sort of in between, you know. Chances might have been a little better there, but I have no regrets. I mean, it was a great career. I enjoyed both sports, but, you know, I ended up playing basketball, making that final decision there.
So what made you choose Robert Morris?
Well, you know, a lot of the schools were backing off, and I always tell this story, you know, not focusing in on my grades. You know, I was put in a high-risk category. A lot of schools kind of backed away because, you know, I wasn't really focused in on the studies. And I always tell the kids now, you know, you really got to buckle down in the classroom. I wish, you know, I would have been a little more focused on that. As I said before, a lot of the bigger schools did back off. And I think I was a steal for Robert Morris, you know. So, and then Jared was, you know, he's a friend of the family. Jared Dorn coached there. And he said, you come here, you're going to play right away. And, you know, he kept his word. And, you know, when I went there, I played, got right on the court there. Smooth transition there.
I'm not used to having this is the most serious conversation I think I've ever had with you, Gabe, because we always coaching basketball together. We didn't have too many serious conversations besides what was going on the court. So you know.
Not really. Yeah, you're right.
So after you went to you know, as you were at Robert Morris, what were some of the highlights? Did you guys ever make it to the tournament while you were at Robert Morris?
Yeah. You know, that year I did, you know, sat, like I said, for, you know, the academic reasons there. Yeah, 92, you know, we played UCLA that year. You know, I practiced with the team, you know, sat out. But, you know, it was pretty good because I could learn the system. The transition to college was a little different. And, you know, I tell people this is just how strong the WPL, you know, was. I got a fun fact. You know, 4 of the 5 starters were WPL All-Stars. You had Ricky Cannon at Perry, Wade Timerton, Fort Cherry, Joe Folletta went to South Park, and Myron Walker was from Aliquippa. And I also was on the roster at New Brighton. So, you know, those 4 of the 5 starters were all WPIL guys. A lot of people don't realize that.
So tell us, when you were at Robert Morris and playing there, what are some of the highlights that you remember of your career, the big things of Robert Morris?
Well, you know, I just think, you know, I got ECAC player, you know, of the month twice, you know, my senior year. You know, we had a good run and gun style. Jared kind of let us get up and down the court. It was just so exciting. You know, we were basically the only Pittsburgh team besides St. Francis, PA, over in Loretta. So, you know, traveling to New York, you know, up in New Jersey, it was just a great, you know, conference back then, man. You know, it was hard-nosed. You really had to bring your A game. You know, a lot of New York guards are very, very quick. They could shoot. You know, a lot of them played probably at the Rucker Park. So, you know, that Northeast Conference back there in the early 90s and mid-90s was very, very tough and competitive. And, I'm glad I could be part of that. And we just had some great teams, you know, while I was there. And, you know, have a lot of memories I can reflect back on.
All right, here, I got something for you. A friend of both of ours sent this to me. So here, listen up real close.
His pass to Jackson.
I don't know if it'll come or not. Are you able to hear that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was something right there, man. That's one of the nights. And Bob made it even better, you know, with the voice and, you know, getting into it and screaming. Yeah. So
all right, we have to thank.
Like I said before.
We have to thank Scott Alexson for that. That's who sent it to me. So.
Oh yeah, Scott. Yeah, he's big time. He's a New Brighton enthusiast.
Absolutely,
Good friend of mine. He actually was our kicker. He actually had a game-winning kick against Charleroi that took us into the playoffs. So, AKA Boots, that was his nickname. You could kick a mile long, man. He's a great guy.
All right, we're talking with Gabe Jackson this morning and Steve Higgins from the Larry Bruno Foundation. Gabe, you got time to hang out with us for a little bit? We got to take a break and do a little bit of news.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, yes.
All right, so we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with more. Noah Haswell's up next with news headlines here on Beaver County Radio.
An elevated dining experience with a lively bar atmosphere? Then Jackson's Restaurant and Bar in Monaca is your destination. Join Jackson's for Thursday Night Live, featuring top-notch local music. At Jackson's, they serve modern American cuisine with a fresh flair. Perfect for lunch, dinner, and now Sunday brunch from 10 to 2. Reserve your table for Easter Sunday brunch, featuring special Easter offerings like plated ham and a build-your-own Bloody Mary bar. Located near the Beaver Valley Mall, adjacent to the Hilton Garden Inn, Jackson's event space is a great venue for weddings, bridal showers, birthdays, or anniversaries. Visit jacksonsbeavervalley.com for details. Beaver County Radio and the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, along with Falcone's Moon Township Ford, A.K. Nahas, and Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance, are teaming up to present this year's Cruisin' on the Ridge car cruises. Cruises will be held the third Saturday of the month from May through September. Cruisin' on the Ridge will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Beaver County Radio Studios at 4301 Dutch Ridge Road in Brayton Township. Beaver County Radio's Solid Gold Saturday host J.D. Merkel will spin tunes in the parking lot, and there will be food trucks, prize giveaways, raffles, and a 50-50. Sponsorship opportunities are still available by calling 724-846-4100. Cruisin' the Ridge is brought to you in part by Falcone's Moon Township Ford, the Lisa Latham team at eXp Realty, the William Murphy Funeral Home, Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance, A.K. Nahas Furniture and Appliance, the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, and Beaver County Radio.
For the fourth year, Push Beaver County is presenting the Beaver County Maple Syrup and Music Festival at Brady's Run Park on April 12th and 13th. St. Barnabas Broadcasting is your place to win free tickets. Tune in Friday mornings from 6:30 to noon now through April 11th for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the festival, along with a half pint of Pennsylvania Pure Syrup and 1 pound of Rosalind's Chocolate in a limited edition Beaver County radio box. The Beaver County Maple Syrup and Music Festival ticket giveaway is being presented by Push Beaver County and Beaver County Radio.
It is now 8:32. Noah Haswell's here with headline news.
Thanks, Frank. Coming up at 9:05 on news headlines, a former UPMC doctor that tried to kill his wife in Hawaii appeared in court for the first time on Thursday. PennDOT announces continuing roadway improvement work on Tuscarawas Road on Monday, weather permitting. A grant of over $22,000 for food service helps Aliquippa Junior and Senior High School buy an electric tilt skillet for the cafeteria. The Hopewell Area School District still needs bus drivers after a shortage caused a flexible instruction day Thursday. The Riverside School District will host a free electronic recycling drive in November. Guests are invited to attend a memorial service for 2 police officers from the City of Aliquippa Police Department. American Airlines is giving travelers in Western Pennsylvania an opportunity to travel to Punta Cana from the Pittsburgh International Airport beginning on December 6th, 2025, and the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission is reminding Pennsylvanians that a scam known as spoofing is going around, in which scammers call you using their company as the caller ID to make you pay for items to take your personal information. For the weather forecast, today it'll be some showers before 4 p.m. Otherwise, it will be a high near 64. Tonight, it'll be a chance of rain maybe before 7 p.m. Otherwise, it'll be mostly cloudy skies, then gradually becoming mostly clear with a low of around 57. And tomorrow, it'll be a chance of showers mainly after 2 p.m. Otherwise, it'll be partly sunny skies with a high near 76. On this Friday, March the 28th of 2025 at 34 minutes after 8, we've got a temperature of 50 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at news headlines. More at 9:05. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Hot coffee in the morning and Frank Sparks. Now you're in the fast lane. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and streaming live on beavercountyradio.com.
And we are back here on Driving in the Fast Lane. And this morning we're being joined by Steve Higgins from the Larry Bruno Foundation. Also on the phone, Gabe Jackson, New Brighton grad, played basketball at New Brighton, also played at Robert Morris College, and then went on and played some pro ball. And we'll have to find out what he's up to today as well. So coming up 8 o'clock, I wish it was 8 o'clock. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Eddie Crow will have something to crow about today. And Matthew Mudaney will be one of his guests at 11 a.m. this morning. So tune in for that as well. We'll have Bucko baseball for you tonight as the Pirates blew one last night, unfortunately. Steve, 4-1. They were leading, ended up blowing it, losing 5-4. Bednar blew it in the bottom of the ninth. And now... So we'll have 6:45 coverage. Mitch Keller on the mound for the Buccos today against Gillespie, I think, is the pitcher for the Marlins. So make sure you stay tuned for that tonight as well. So, all right, Steve. So let's dig in with Gabe a little bit and talk about. So after you went to Robert Morris, what did you do after that? You went on and played some pro ball.
Yes, I went over to the IBA, Irish Basketball Association, and competed there. I was at two different teams. I was in Belfast with Belfast Star and another team down in Dublin, Tolka Rovers. So, it was a great league, a lot of, 2 Americans per team. I teamed up with a guy named Javon Dupree that played at Texas Tech. Actually, his team was on TV last night. So, it was a great experience. My brother actually played before me there, and then, he obviously put a good word in, the brother we love. And there was a guy that played on the Irish national team that I competed against in college, Alan Tomedy, and I guess they asked him, should we sign this guy? And I thank Alan to this day. He said, yeah, go and get him. So, that was a great, heads up on Alan's part. So, it was a great experience over there. And I came back into the States and played in the CBA with the team up in Connecticut. And, it was, just still keeping that dream alive and wanting to keep playing. So, the transition from Robert Morris to that level was a little different. I tell people, if you look in the NBA today, that European players are not as physical, but they can handle the ball very well and shoot it, They're 6'8" guys, the 6'10", aren't worried about dunking. They're worried about, pulling up for threes. And, the fundamentals are definitely different in Europe opposed to the United States.
Gabe, you mentioned your brother a few times. Now, were you guys actually teammates at New Brighton?
Yes, we were teammates for 2 years. My freshman, I played as a freshman. Freshman year would have been his junior, and my sophomore would have been his senior. So, that was a battle right there. All the one-on-one battles.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Did you guys ever have any backyard one-on-one battles that were pretty crazy?
You almost got into like a Ron Artest type thing. Almost some fist swinging because either one of them will lose. But that guy, he jumped to the top of the backboard. So once he left the ground, it was too late. I'd have to use, a little bit of my power on him, But Chris just had that first step, man. Once he got that first step on you, man, you might as well forget it. You talking about a guy that had a 45-inch vertical, easy.
I'll tell you, your coach in those days, he must have been with a talent like you and your brother on the same team. Yeah. Oh man, that coach was probably very. Who was your coach in high school?
That was Dan O'Neill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went over to Rochester.
He was pleased with it, just that, and people will say all that talent, Aliquippa was our nemesis there, and, with Big Sean Gilbert, that's like trying to move a vault. This guy, he was just out there.
Right.
He was so huge, you could show a movie on his back.
Oh, man.
That's how big that guy was.
Dunk he did it New Brighton, man. He dang near took one of the screws out of the wall. The old school baskets had little wire that connected to the back of the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he tore one of them out.
Wow.
Wow.
And like I said, we never really, losing to Seton LaSalle rather in '89, and then losing Aliquippa by 1 up at Robert Morris.
Wow.
We were just that close, closing in on the WTL title or state title, but still a memorable team. I'm sure people in the community will always remember us. we had that crowd rocking, and that team was well put together, and we all grew up together, so that made it even more special.
So if you had to pick out one game besides the one we were talking about earlier, what would be the one game that would be probably your most favorable game that you ever played in?
High school?
Yeah.
Probably, getting Seton Hall back the next year after they beat us in the title. I think I got them for about 45 or so at the Blackout Christmas tournament. So It was a little bit of a payback because I was mad the year before they stole that WPL gold away from us. So that was one of the games where you just say, I got to get these guys back because, that gold medal should have been around my neck. So I took that was a little personal game right there, and we went out, we got them we beat them in the tournament that following year. So that was a little bit of a payback.
Well, Gabe, obviously the numbers have fallen a little bit since your day at New Brighton, and we just don't have as many kids there now. And the athletic competition has dropped down maybe a level from when you were there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What can New Brighton – do you think New Brighton will bounce back ever with the athletic department? And what do you think maybe some things that New Brighton can do to maybe become more competitive?
Well, first of all, Frank knows me. I'm a straightforward shooter. And, this is a public service announcement. Parents got to stay out of it. I see so much stuff on Facebook, and these parents are complaining about these coaches. Hey, these coaches are dedicating a lot of time and effort to get these kids and, pull the best out of them. And all the back and forth stuff. See, we didn't have that growing up. My mom would be like, boys, sit on down and, you got to work harder. My dad, they didn't want to hear that. These parents are too involved with these sports, and, I understand supporting your kid. But getting New Brighton back to the next level, like I said, the parents will stay out of it. I mean, they got to get these summer camps going. You can't come 2 weeks before training camp and say, I want to be a basketball player. It doesn't work that way. You got to grind. I mean, if you're not running track in the spring, you should be in AAU. And after AAU, you should be doing something all summer, working on your skill set. And that's what's really going to get, turn the program around. These kids just hanging out all summer and going to water parks and, hanging out with your girlfriend. That's not going to cut it. You're really going to have to get on the grind. As they say, whatever you put in is whatever you're going to get out of it. And I really would like to see New Brighton turn around because when I look at some of the box scores, even out here in Las Vegas and, getting blown out by 30, 40 points, that stuff was unheard of back in my day. I just can't. I can't understand it.
Well, even Gabe, when we were coaching together, and Gabe and I, the head coach was Lance Frederick, and we coached. We were coaching New Brighton girls, and we had a very good, as you know, we had a very good team. The year after Lance and I retired, went on to the quarterfinals of WPIAL, I'll never forget. I think you were there that day when I had this group of girls that was from the middle school. And I brought them up as freshmen to the high school gym. And they were dedicated like you're talking about. These girls played in the gym, constantly played together. They ran a varsity team out of the gym that day. And it showed what the dedication was. And I think that turned the point for us as a staff because it showed the dedication we had with the athletes as well. So I think it's a two-flop thing. The coaches have to be just as dedicated as what the kids are.
Exactly. Because, the coach is a motivator. If a player can get out there and see a coach, a player should be ready to run through a wall for a coach. That's that motivation. That's just going to fuel you to get to the next level. You just can't have a coach just sitting there. I mean, you got to be like I coached out here, anywhere I coach, Frank. I mean, I'm going to coach how I played, and that was hard.
Absolutely.
And that's how you get results. And I just think a lot of the coaches also are just laid back. They're not really pushing these kids. And, it's just like a oh, well type mentality. And, whatever happens, happens. You can't compete. There's too many competitive schools. You got the Beaver Falls, the Central Valleys, the Aliquippas. Those kids are ready to come out there and kill you every day. Any chance they got. And if you're just sitting back lax and just settling for anything, you're not going to get any good results.
Right, and we actually had a New Brighton connection on that team that we're talking about on the girls' side. You remember Darren Hopkins?
Oh,
right.
We had his daughter Caitlin Hopkins on the team, and Gabe worked with her a lot, and she went on to do good things as well. So,
right.
Yeah, and that was the dedication of it all. And Gabe coming in when he first came in with us was always about the kids. You've always been all about kids and helping kids out. So what are you up to nowadays that takes you to Vegas instead of New Brighton?
Right. Well, when I first came out, I was coaching with Vegas Elite AAU team. I had the 9th and 10th graders, national team there. So, kind of fizzled out with that. Schedule got too demanding. I'm a business service account manager at City Hall, work for Employee doing internships, direct hires, and all sorts of things. I mainly connect with the businesses. I go in to, try to get employment for some of our participants. Like I said, I was on the youth side at ages 16 to 24, but now I'm with the adults. So, like I said, I'm on the business side of things right now with Employee. So, it's a great, giving back still to the community and focusing on, like I said, the workforce for people that may have some struggles. They can get back in the workforce and, be productive.
You mentioned some of the guys that you played with in your high school days, and arguably maybe some of the best groups to come through New Brighton athletically. Has any of these guys, Gabe, turned into coaching? And are any of them coaching now in the high school level, maybe?
Sweet Keaton.
Yeah, well, like I said, point guard Sean Keaton, he's the head coach of the Rochester boys team. And my brother had some stints with coaching, some AAU, I think New Brighton. I don't know if he did. He lives in the Cranberry area, Seneca Valley, not too sure. I think he did do some AAU things there. But as far as a consistent level, I think Sean Keaton's the only one that's really as far as keeping it going with basketball. Like I said, he's been at Rochester for a few years.
Did you guys ever consider coming back and maybe running a little camp for the kids at New Brighton?
Yeah, I was doing my camps from 1999 to the mid-2000s. Once again, the lack of interest, the kids with the video games and not wanting to sweat. I mean, my camps in the late 90s, the early 2000s were doing very well. And then, before I relocated, I tried it again, but the numbers were down. So, everyone's really caught up in this AAU. These parents are spending all this money on their kids, and, they may not even get any looks. Yeah, it's just like, to me, it's like a money marketing. It's like a scheme to me. I mean, I didn't have AAU, and I still got recruited along with other players in Beaver County. I mean, it's fun to do it.
Right.
But these parents are putting anywhere from $850 to $1,500 for these summer sessions, and your kid never gets a look. It's just all about saying I'm part of a team. So,
right.
I mean, I would like to come back and do something. I think Scott Alexson, I think he still runs that
the concrete
tournament
jungle
down there behind the middle school. So I said one summer I want to come back and get involved and do another youth camp.
They're actually down Brady's Run now. They got a big promotion. They got a big thing coming up here. And it's still the concrete jungle as it always has been.
Right.
So the C2JK, I always screw it up, but you know what I mean. But they have a big fundraiser coming up for Children's Hospital that they're doing, and they got a big league going on. So if you make it back this summer, I think you'll enjoy what Scott and Joey and all them have built down there.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of those New Brighton guys, man, giving back to the community, getting these kids heading in the right direction.
All right.
That's very good. They're doing that down there.
All right, we're visiting this morning with Steve Higgins from the Larry Bruno Foundation, also visiting with Gabe Jackson, former New Brighton grad, also Robert Morris grad, and we're talking to him this morning about basketball and the day in basketball. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this on Driving in the Fast Lane.
Looking for a great job opportunity? McDonald's now has full-time and part-time positions available to fit your lifestyle and needs. Set your own hours and have a lot of fun, too. Whatever the situation is, McDonald's has a place for you. Apply today at McHire.com. McDonald's is here for you. I'm loving it.
Join Beaver County Radio for a live remote at the award-winning Beaver Meadows Living Assistance, Tuesday, April 1st from 2 to 4 p.m., 5130 Tuscarawas Road. Come celebrate the 10th anniversary. The prize wheel will be on location, and you'll have the chance to win PA lottery tickets. There will be refreshments, and Gene Testa will be performing live. Come take a tour of the beautiful Beaver Meadows and meet the staff, home care, and hospice members. To RSVP, email Joe Miller at jemiller@stbarnabashealthsystem.com. We'll see you at Beaver Meadows Tuesday, April 1st from 2 to 4 p.m.
The 45th Annual Beaver County Maple Syrup and Music Festival is back and better than ever. It's all happening on Saturday and Sunday, April the 12th and 13th at the Lodge in Brady's Run Park, just off Route 51 in Brighton Township. While the star of the show is scrumptious Pennsylvania maple syrup drizzled over all-you-can-eat homemade pancakes, there will also be live music with numerous crafters and vendors. Tickets, including pancakes and sausage, are just $15 for adults, $10 for kids under 12, and seniors and military, along with first responders, are just $12. There will also be Pennsylvania pure 100% maple syrup for sale, along with buckwheat and cornmeal flour. The 45th Annual Beaver County Maple Syrup Festival is being presented by Push Beaver County. Make sure you plan to come out to the 45th Annual Maple Syrup Festival from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, April the 12th and 13th at the Lodge in Brady's Run Park. Check out the festival Facebook page for a schedule of events.
It's time to wake up, Beaver Valley, with Pastor David Grove from the Church of the Redeemed of Beaver Valley. Tune in to Beaver County Radio this and every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. It's time to wake up and turn our hearts back to Jesus Christ. So wake up early this Saturday and tune in to Wake Up Beaver Valley from 9 until 10 a.m. right here on Beaver County Radio. You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
Looking for home services? Call Patriot Home Care in Beaver Falls. Their staff provides company, conversation, and companionship to all patients, ensuring medications are taken on time, participating in fun community activities, personal care, meal prep, and light household work are all services provided by Patriot Home Care, all thanks to the hardworking and selfless team members. Call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or stop in Patriot Home Care, 1225 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
It is 8:52, and our weather today, it's going to be pretty decent today. Chance of rain showers throughout the day, and the high is going to be up to 58 degrees, currently sitting at 49 degrees at 8:53, right on the nose here in Beaver County. Visiting this morning with Steve Higgins. He is from the Larry Bruno Circle of Achievement, the Larry Bruno Foundation. And also joining us on the phone from out on the left coast is Gabe Jackson, a New Brighton grad. And I did a lot with him basketball in New Brighton. Is still working in basketball and doing things to this day. Gabe, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is basketball and high school athletics in general is so much different right now. How much more positive or negative does it affect being able to have facilities like M7, like All Elite, that help work with these athletes now and then even teach them what the next level is college with all this NIL money and things that are going around? How much does that help or deter from today's athletes?
Well, I was talking with the attorney last night, Lee Markberg. He's a good friend of mine out here in Las Vegas. And, this portal stuff and all this stuff going on, I mean, it's like, to me, there's no commitment anymore. The kid could be somewhere like, say, Aurora, Mercer, Duquesne, and then, Alabama comes knocking on the door and says, hey, I'm going to give you $1.5 million. What do you think the kid's going to do? He's going to be gone. As far as the training facilities, I think those are great, getting the kids with the basic fundamentals, because a lot of them lack that. So I've been hearing about these new facilities in Beaver County. I haven't been back to see any of it. But, I think a kid could take advantage of that, especially if you're struggling in some areas of your game. You could go there and, sharpen your tools up to get to the next level. But as far as you tapped on that NIL stuff, I mean, I think it's pretty crazy right now. There's portals and all this stuff. I really didn't get too much into it, but, got the basic understanding of it. But I think it's really messing college basketball up because kids are just going anywhere they want to go. It's like I call it like the junior NBA.
Does that water down the rivalries, you think?
I think it does for sure, because like I said, there was a kid last night. I believe he played for, I want to say Arizona. He was he just was at North Carolina. So I mean, it's like you're going to go where the money's at. If you're maybe not in a good financial situation, maybe you want to take care of your family. And you're going to sit down and have a family meeting and say, hey, they can give us $2 million. And I'm sure the mama and everyone else will say, you better take that money.
Right. Right, exactly.
Mama's new car and everything else. And, you're living a good life. So, it definitely did. Yeah, it definitely ruins the competition, I think. And I don't personally agree on it because, like I said, there's no commitment, there's no dedication. And guys are just going to, follow that paper trail. You're following the money. You're going to leave your teammates high and dry.
Do you think we're at a time where you have to concentrate on one sport and you can no longer be like you were? You did 2 sports in high school, and there's a lot of kids that play multiple sports, even 3 and 4 sports in high school. Do you think we're at a time now where these kids need to concentrate just on one sport?
Yeah, I think 2 sports is always good. Like I said, it kept me out of a lot of trouble and kept me focused. I was one of those type of guys that needed that. So, as far as, the one sport thing, I'd say no. Play as much as you want. But I just think that, like I said, with all this AAU, like I said, the NIL and everything else going, I think if you go to the next sport, I kind of think they put you on that back burner because they really want to see you focused in and locked in on that particular sport. So I think with this new thing going on, probably the 2-sport star stuff is kind of like it's pretty much ancient now. I think these guys want you focused in. If you're going to Alabama for basketball, you're going there for basketball. You're not going there for football. Which are a prominent, football school. I don't think a lot of these recruiters and coaches really want you doing that nowadays.
Yeah, that makes it tough. And you see a lot of kids, a lot of these schools themselves are actually starting to utilize these facilities because the facilities are a lot better than what the schools can provide. So in the end, it might create a better, high school level game for teams.
Right, I think so. Yeah, because like I said, a lot of kids, if you're having trouble on your shooting, you might just need a couple adjustments. With your form. I know my good friend Greg Sacone, I believe he has a facility down there in Leedsdale. Great shooter, unbelievable. I know he teaches kids back there, and maybe you're struggling with your left or right hand. You go to these facilities and sharpen you up. I always tell people, don't come back the same player you were last year. I want you coming back a different player. If you come back the same player as last year, that tells me one thing: you didn't work. So, yeah, you're going to have to get in there because the competition is you see these 15, 16-year-old kids with 40-inch verticals. I watch some of the stuff on YouTube and TikTok. I'm like, where's this kid come from? But, the competition is too good not to work on your fundamentals. You have to do something.
Gabe, we had Walt Harris on the show not too long ago, and he was talking about some of the new techniques. He was a quarterback coach. He was the head coach of Pitt football, obviously, but he's basically a quarterback coach, and he was talking about some of the new techniques that they're teaching quarterbacks how to throw. He really disagreed with. He thought that they would hurt a quarterback's arm or they weren't the right way. Do you still believe that the fundamentals and the basics have a home in basketball and football?
Well, they should. You can't take away fundamentals. And you could be the best athlete in the world, but if you don't have the basic fundamentals and that, that football or basketball IQ, you'll be out there lost. You'll be a great athlete. But like I said, when it comes down to it, there may be a certain player, something that, really, important to the team at that point. And the basic fundamentals you might have lost, and that could lead into a turnover, and that's points for the other team. So
right.
They have to focus in on. I don't care what anybody says. Like Larry Bird. He wasn't the most athletic, but look at his fundamental skill set. Look at Luka Doncic. These guys aren't super athletic, but look at their skill set and IQ on the court.
Right, right.
It's unbelievable.
Because I'm a proponent of that. I like to see the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. I like them to be pushed by coaches. And just because a guy has talent, his footwork might not be right. His mindset might not be right. And I'm glad to hear you say that because I think fundamentals is still very, very important.
Very important. I don't care who you are. You got to have the basics fundamentals. And I don't even want to coach a guy that doesn't have that either. I'd rather get a bunch of guys fundamental and a bunch of guys can jump out of the gym because those are the guys that are going to lose the game for me and turn it over every play.
All right, brother. We appreciate you joining us. When you're back, hit me up, man. It's been a while.
Yes, I will. Definitely, Frank. I wanted to say I'm very proud of you, man. You're all professional. You got your own show, man. So, I mean, hats off to you, brother. You sound great, man. And
appreciate it, man.
Continue the great work you're doing out there. And definitely, I'll be in for Memorial Day, actually.
All right.
So,
make sure you come up to the station and visit us. We're up in Brighton Township now.
I'll definitely come up and visit you guys, man.
All right.
I just, we'll connect for sure. It'd be great to see you again, man.
Absolutely, brother. Sounds good. Maybe we can go down there and harass Alexson and Kirshner and all them.
Oh, I'll be all on them guys. They know when I come. They already know. I'm keeping it G-rated right now because we're on radio. So, but when I get them in person, it'll be a whole different game.
All right, Gabe. Great talking to you, brother.
Thank you, Gabe. It's been an honor.
All right,
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks
take care.
a lot, guys. Continued success. A great radio show, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Gabe. Take care, buddy.
Okay. We'll see.
All right,
We'll
bye-bye.
see you.
All right, bye. Yeah, Gabe is, as you know, him and I have gone back we've gone way back. So I love coaching with him. So Eddie Crow's coming up next. It is something to crow about. And Steve will be back in 2 weeks on Friday with the Larry Bruno Foundation.
Thank you, Frank.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.